So I wanted to talk about this whole idea of teaching what you know. For the past couple of years, I've had the wonderful honor to share a training program with health professionals that were changing from their traditional practice to a three principles practice. And I was able to develop with them a year-long training program. And so I've met a lot of new practitioners to the three principles over the past 2 years. And one of the things that stood out for me is how much people had insecurity about thinking they didn't know enough of the principles to start teaching. And I wanted to speak a bit to that. That's why I made this video. You see, when I first heard this understanding way back in 1982, there wasn't really anybody around that you could compare yourself to see if you're teaching the principles well. There were just a handful of us doing our best to teach the principles. But it was thrilling. It was thrilling because it was something new to share with people, an understanding that could really help them. So every time I talked with a client, I did my best to share what I saw about the principles and let that conversation with the client help me see more about what to share or correct ways that I was sharing the principles that weren't helpful. But it had this ease about it to go ahead and share right away. So I want that for you too, because there's nothing more powerful and impactful to another person than for you to share from where you had an understanding of these principles. Because when you share what you have seen about the principles, you're sharing from that place that every teacher about the principles shares from. That place of insight. And you're no less than any other three principles practitioner when you share from there. And the other beautiful piece about this is that when you share from truly what you've seen about the principles, you will see more. But the problem comes in when you start to think about how you're doing in sharing those principles, or that you need to know more than what you know already. Of course, there's an infinite knowledge available to us about these principles that we will have a lifetime to see. But when you share what you've seen already, I don't care what it is. For me, it was just seeing that thought create our feelings, the power of thought to create our feelings. But from there, it opened the gates for me to see endless amounts of understanding about the principles. However, when I shared from that certainty I had for what I saw, people were impacted. And that's the impact you have. To share right now with anybody what you have truly seen about the principles. I don't care what it is. It will be very impactful. Now here's the other thing. If you start sharing and you get lost or you get beyond what you know and you see that it's not really going anywhere, this piece about what you've already seen, you just come back to it. So anytime you're sharing and you feel like you're getting lost, just come back to what you've seen. So I do that all the time with clients. I kind of get ahead of myself and I say, oh, sorry about that. I kind of started to talk to you from something I really didn't know well yet. But let's go back. Let's go back to what the point is. Is that okay with you? Of course, it's fine with them. And you say, well, here's my point. And you share again from what you've seen. So that's the beauty about you really feeling comfortable and feeling okay with what it is you have seen about the principles. Look at it this way, what else are you going to share? I mean, if you share what you traditionally learned, it's going to not have any impact compared to what you've seen so far about the principles, because what you've seen traditionally doesn't really speak to the truth of the principles. And so it makes sense then for you to give it a shot. Just keep giving it a shot, until it starts to ring true with your clients or to whoever it is that you're sharing the principles with. So I just wanted to share a very short piece here. I'm going to share more in the future, but I just wanted these videos to get going. And the point of this principle the point of this video is really just to share for you the importance of going for it now, teaching right now, sharing right now, this moment, what you're seeing about the principles. Don't wait until you feel like, oh, I got them. You know what? You'll never feel that way. It's endless. I mean, who's going to know, finally know this spiritual knowledge? Because it's endless knowledge. So that's no way to base whether you should teach or not about, do you know enough? The piece is that you saw something, and when you share what you saw from that place, it will have impact. And you keep talking with your clients or with your friends or your relatives ever asking you, you keep just talking with them about it, like, does that make sense with you? If not, again, just tell them again what you saw. Now notice that if you're getting insecure about what you're saying, get quiet, settle down, go back inside to what you saw and reiterate that. But really, I wanted to start this video for two reasons. One, I'm going to do more videos, and I'm just using this to test it out to see if it all works. And the second piece is to begin to help you get comfortable with teaching right now. Really, if you have seen something about the principles, there's nothing to wait for. Because you've seen something that would add to our community. I don't care what it is. What you have seen will add to the community. So I want to encourage you to begin to just share that. Somebody asks you, what are you seeing? Take a breath and, set the stage for them. Let them know that, I just saw this one thing about how we have experiences of life or whatever it is, and just say, are you open to hearing this? Yeah. So then you share. Here's what I saw. I really saw that we create our experience through the power we have to think. And then ask them if that means anything for them. And now you've got a dialogue going. And always keep what you've seen as your footing. So if you get a little lost in the dialogue, come back to that. Well, I know we kind of got caught up in stuff and it didn't seem to make sense. But let's go back. Can we go back to the point? Okay, go back. So, okay, here's my point. Does it make any more sense to you now? Well, yeah, it does. Well, then tell me, how does it make sense to you? And now you're off into the races. Now you're off in the races. Now you're off to, in the dialogue, seeing more. So always use what you have seen as your foundation. If you come back to that whenever you feel a little insecure or that you've lost your point. But I wanted you to feel comfortable with just going ahead to share right now what you know.